So I went back into the book of Ruth because I felt led to do so and to pick up some more highlighted points. And so in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, basically Naomi's husband and her 2 sons died. So all she has left is her 2 daughter-in-laws, but they don't have children. And obviously their husbands, which was Naomi's sons, have died, and so it's just the 3 women. And basically in Moab at that time, there was a famine, and they didn't have food. Well, there was food. We'll just read. So they died. Okay. All right. When she heard. All right. So in chapter 1, verse 6. When she heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, Naomi and her daughter-in-laws prepared to return home from there. With her two daughter-in-laws, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judea. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughter-in-laws, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness to you, as you have shown to your dead and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud and said to her, "We will go back with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters, it is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has gone out against me." At this they wept again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. It's important to know that, for one, basically the Moabites and the Judahites were not friends. I mean, basically it says, set in the dark and bloody days of the judges. The story of Ruth is silent about the underlying hostility and suspicion the two peoples, the Judahites and the Moabites, felt for each other. The original onslaught of the invading Israelite tribes against towns that were once Moabite had never been forgotten nor forgiven, while the Hebrew prophets denounced Moab's pride and arrogance for trying to bewitch, seduce, and oppress Israel from the time of Balaam and on. The Mesha still boasts of the massacre of entire Israelite towns. So basically the Moabs destroyed the Israelite towns. And so, basically Ruth was a foreigner. She wasn't just a foreigner in Judea. She was hated, despised. So it's important to know that when Oprah decided to leave and go back to her people, and Ruth didn't, it really don't make sense, because in Ruth's religion wasn't, she didn't believe in God. It was Balaam. Let's see. She believed in, basically she was raised to believe in a different God. And so she's going into a land. Basically, her mother-in-law has no money, has nothing. I mean, they're literally walking into, the town with nothing but the clothes on their back. So it's not like Ruth had any reason to go. I mean, she had no husband. Her mother-in-law was bitter, had no money, had nothing left. She's entering, a town, a city, basically, that hates her. She's very different looking, too. She's just, yeah, she's different looking. She has darker skin. I mean, the whole thing is not, doesn't make sense for Ruth to go. She doesn't believe in their God. She's not from there. She's hated where she's going. I mean, there's nothing to go for. It does not make sense. Period. And yet she did anyway. So, and another thing that's really important to understand is that, so it says that, alright, so on verse 14, at this they wept again. Then Oprah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. Ruth didn't just, say, all right, I'm coming with you. We're going to make this work. No, she clung to Naomi. And she said, look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people, and her gods go back with her. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. It just doesn't make sense why she would do that. Other than the fact that she felt something, which is strange because she did not believe in God. She didn't believe in God. So she sets out on a whim, on a feeling. There was something in her spirit that said, this is where I'm supposed to be. But there's nothing about that makes a bit of sense. Because it's not like, Ruth had converted, I mean. And then in verse 17, it says, may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely. But Ruth is a Gentile. She swears her commitment to Naomi in the name of Israel's God, thus acknowledging him as her God. But that's not what she grew up believing in. So, in other words, God's Spirit filled her. She may not have known what it was or what was going on, but she knew enough to know that in her gut, in her heart of hearts, in her soul, that she had to follow Ruth. And Oprah didn't. Oprah left. And I mean, there's a verse in 1 John 2:19 that says, they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out, that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. Not everybody's for us. There are seasons in life, and some people enter our lives and stay for a lifetime. Others for certain seasons and then fall away, and there's nothing wrong with either. I mean, they're all needed for parts of our life, our life's journey. But the key is we have to know when to let go. I mean, you can't cling to something that doesn't breathe life into you. And Ruth knew that Naomi, even though there was nothing to depict that there was life being breathed into Ruth from Naomi, everything Naomi said was desolate, depressing, just yuck. I mean, like, nobody on God's green earth would say, you know what, I'm going to go into this foreign land where I'm hated. I'm going to believe in your God. I mean, in looking at Naomi gave Ruth no hope that her God was any good, because, I mean, she was like, I'm bitter. The God, my God has, turned his back on me. And I mean, why would you want to follow that? I mean, if it were me and I believed in a different God other than this other woman, and all I saw was all this, bitterness and depression, and, my God's punishing me, I'm like, I don't want no part of that. So, and, but yet Ruth is like, no, man, I got you. I'm going with you, Naomi, and I'm gonna believe in this wonderful God that you talk about is trying to destroy your life. That makes no sense. Makes no sense. But something in Ruth's spirit said, this is the path to go on, and that was had to be the only reason that Ruth would go. I mean, and Ruth didn't just go just to be loyal. No. She says in there, she's like, no. I mean, Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. And may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. That's mind-blowing. That is just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. All of it. And I think that God has something that he needs someone to know, someone to hear. I'm not sure why. Maybe you've lost hope. Maybe there's all kinds of maybes. But what I take from this is that when God sets you on a path, it may not even make any sense. It may not seem right. It may not make sense. It may be so far from where you thought that you would be. And yet, somehow or another, God's taking the leftovers in your life and he's creating a masterpiece. Because had Ruth not followed Naomi, she would not have met Boaz. And what led from the marriage of Ruth and Boaz was the lineage of Jesus Christ. So, when you think that you are going into a place where you're hated and not wanted and despised, and you have nothing, and you're walking into this place that is just not anywhere you would want to be, and you can't figure out why you're being led there, or why you're being made to go there, or why you have no other options or choices, don't always think that it's the worst thing that could happen to you, because sometimes it can lead to the greatest, most precious gift that God could ever possibly give you. Don't always think that what seems to be the worst thing is the worst thing. It could very well be the biggest blessing of your entire life. it could lead to such greatness and majesty and just heavenly places that you never would have known about had you not walked through there. Don't despise the day of small beginnings. And do not, whatever you do, mourn the people that you've lost, that left, because if they were supposed to be with you, then they would be with you. If you needed them to make it in this life, you'd have them. But their leaving only meant that they were not of you. We have to learn how to get the gift of goodbye and let them go and let God have a new season in our life. We also have to know that not everything that's dark and desolate is a destruction. Sometimes the dark and desolate can lead to the biggest, greatest, most valuable, most precious gifts that God could ever give you. You know, blessings are sometimes found in dark places. So if you're being urged to go somewhere to do something that doesn't make sense to you, but yet you feel God's leading on it, then we could all take a pretty good lesson from Ruth, you know. And if you feel it in your soul, let it be known that if you don't do it, may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. So if you feel His leading, just go. Y'all have a great day. Lord God, I just come to you today, and I just want to say thank you for using me as your vessel. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. There are not enough words. I can't articulate how much I love you and need you and want you in my life. Have your way, precious, dear Lord that you are. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.